Hey, here's our next project, which is windows and doors. I love this project. I feel like windows and doors designed by architects. So, again, giving you that work of art to begin with. And, it gives you a sense of curiosity, like who lives in that house? What's going on behind those doors or those windows? But also looking at the architectural structure. And then the most important part is the elements and composition. So you have shape within the doors or windows, you have repetition of some of the shapes, you have symmetry, possibly, not just in the actual door itself, but the whole setting. So I'd like you to be, I guess, going around and keeping your eyes open, looking for images that you can capture, going into safe places, obviously. Um, see where you can go, but have your camera on you so that you can capture those images. And as I always say, back it up and take a few digital pictures. So look for good lighting. So don't go out at 6 o'clock as the sun is starting to set, and looking at different angles. So they do not all have to be front on the way this example shows right now, even though it's cool. And you can definitely get some like that, but mix it up so you have different angles there. So you're not just snapping pictures of a door. The door or windows is your, I guess, the subject behind your overall fantastic image. So pay close attention to those details. As I mentioned, the pattern, repetition, shape. Many of the doors, windows have textures. They might have shadows on them if there's trees or even just the angle of the building coming through. There could be text or numbers, messages. Stay out. And if it does say stay out, don't go near it. The issue with private property. So private property, somebody owns it. So be very, very careful. Don't trespass. Ask permission. If you're too scared to ask permission, don't even do it. Okay. So windows have so much character. They do not have to be brand new. You do not have to take this as an abandoned project, but many of you really like the subject matter of abandon. So if you would like to take that approach, you absolutely can. You can do a mixture of it, but I tend to lean towards abandon images. I guess that's my favorite thing to shoot. So a lot of mine, which I feel bad because a lot of it looks so depressing, and I don't think I'm a very gloomy person, but there's something about the older elements and just history, and again the curiosity of what went on in there, who lived in there, why is it abandoned, who broke that window on the left, the blinds, if you've tried raising blinds up and down your windows and how frustrating that can be, and it just looks like those are the metal ones that get all tangled and they just kind of left it. But lighting is going to be really important, as it is with all of your pictures. But, here you have the doorway and the light coming in. You've got the evidence of the door on the ground. But even if that door wasn't there down here at the bottom, you'd still have this doorway, which any of these doorways or windows naturally frame your subject. You've got really awesome texture down here with the peeling paint. Some nice contrast because the sunlight is hitting back here. So again, you're not documenting and saying, here's windows, here's a door. Don't go to Lowe's aisle 17 and give me pictures like this. So this one I was drawn to, not only because of the repetition of the horizontal lines, the texture within here, I feel like it demonstrates good balance because you have this up at the top and it's balancing it down from the bottom of, I don't know what that is, some vines, and it looks like an old window frame. It has curtains in the window here. I do wish this was a little bit lighter. It's a digital picture, so I don't know where the original is, but I should find that and jazz that up a bit. So again, this was a house that was for sale. So I felt a little more comfortable walking around the outside of it. I had my mom with me. But, you know, again, somebody owns it. You cannot go into the building or structure. This one I love because of the repetition and texture of those little bricks along the side. So again, don't just take the picture and have it be of the window. You know, back it up, look at what's could be included in the image. So you have these squares, you've got the rectangles, you can see these tattered curtains in the window. I just felt like this was staged or something because it's just so perfect. And the color, you've got the contrast of the browns and the turquoise color, the reflection in the window a little. And then this door on the other side, which I have other pictures of that are really cool. So if you couldn't see through the other side, it just gives you a totally different feeling. So yeah, I know you're shooting in black and white, but take some digital ones. So just including some of the ground there. So just, you know, the crack in the foundation, the old metal drum on the ground there, the stained curtains in the window. This would be more of a doorway, which is totally good. These were taken like kind of in the same alleyway. You can see the brick wall. And I love how it's got smooth concrete, well, smooth compared to all these bricks. I just like the contrast of that. Again, I think I like the color picture better. Be careful when you are taking pictures of windows and doors that are higher up, so it gives you the perspective is kind of off, but no, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but it seems like you'd want to be shooting at it straight on so that you had parallel lines, so the perspective was correct. But if that was the case, you would see yourself in the reflection. So be careful of that as well. This one just nicely reflected the bright blue sky and good texture. This one was across the river in Rensselaer. Obviously does not look like a safe place. So I'm showing you this, but don't go into places like this. So I was with my family. We were photographing graffiti, actually, and this one had graffiti all over the building. But, you know, like homeless people could be living in there, and you never know. So be really, really careful and safe. But I love, obviously, the repetition in the brick. It's got really cool value, too. You've got dark, medium, light, so much repetition of the rectangles because you've got the brick, the opening here, smaller rectangles further on, this little honeycomb like wire to the glass. And you've got foreground with the weeds and stuff, middle ground maybe being the structure of the building, and then background being deeper into the building. This was just in an alleyway. Alleyway sounds so scary, I guess, around here, but in Boston, like between the buildings, there are just little driveway kind of. So the people that live within those buildings share that alleyway. So it was not at all a scary place. But just, you know, keep your eyes open. And this was over by Delaware Ave in Albany near the Empanada Llama. If you've never been there, you got to go to Empanada Llama. So good. Get a little cultural food that tastes delicious. And they have empanadas that have like banana and Nutella. So you could save that for dessert or start with that and then get the regular empanadas after. But symmetry, really good symmetry in here. You know, it's a scary thing when you're taking pictures of people's houses too. If they catch you, they're kind of like, what are you doing? But you could just, you know, if somebody did call you out on it, just say windows and doors. But cool symmetry. You've got even these plants. I love that they kind of just left them out, and obviously it's still winter. You've got the text, this nice bright red roof, some more graffiti. But notice that I didn't center the door smack dab in the middle of the picture, and I wanted to include some of this brick and the concrete blocks and some of the vines climbing up. Also, what was important on the ground. I have no idea what garbage that is, but it adds to the image. And again, just careful where you're standing. Well, if you're in an area like this, you could be standing on something that's not safe if there's glass or something. But anyway, what I was going to say was the perspective part. So shooting straight on, but you can still control your composition. Here's a lack of a door, but look at that 810 on the top. So cool. There's so much going on. This was a New York City field trip with Advanced Photo. We were traveling to different galleries and just walking, and so of course we stopped and took pictures. This one too. In perspective here, you can see that it's wider down at the bottom and a little bit, the perspective's a little bit off. So I don't remember if I was just holding the camera, cell phone, right at eye level, which I'm short, so who knows, but if I was a little bit higher up, I might have gotten better perspective. And a lot of these are from my trip to Havana, Cuba, which was the coolest experience ever because it's kind of one of those forbidden countries with political issues of the U.S. forbidding us to travel, but I did go on a tour, so I was able to get in there. But this woman was just pushing this cart, and we were in a courtyard area where everybody's running around and playing, but I positioned the camera just right and waited till the woman got in the middle and snapped the picture. So I think you can even tell that this is that door. So I was standing waiting for her to get into this door, but then as she was walking, it lined up here nice, and I like that blue. They have so much color in Havana. And I love so much about this picture. And this was, the door was off its hinges. Just the nice bright color. This one, I think this is the one I had to take it in multiple pictures because I couldn't fit the whole building in my picture from where I was standing. So it was a whole bunch, and then in Photoshop I was able to stitch them together, which is a really cool thing. Again, perspective, but sometimes it's just worth it. Look, there's a little cat down here. I love these with the laundry on the line. The little clothespins. So good balance, having the bright blue window on this side versus nothing over there. So it doesn't mean that it has to be balanced, like if you had a door here, you had to have the door there. So just visual balance of big open space and then something chunky in the other side. But look at all that color. I'm sure in Photoshop, Lightroom, I did emphasize this a little bit, maybe too much, but there's not too much more of the saturation. This Havana is just so colorful. So here's some student examples. This was from a field trip. We're like not in the field trip world anymore. Hopefully, maybe next year. But this was shot when we went to the Catskill Game Farm, which is closed down. There's not really any animals added anymore. But probably, actually, I think they closed just about when you guys were born. So you probably didn't get a chance to go there, but your parents probably have been here at the Catskill Game Farm. But this was in a ticket booth, so it's a little bit dark in here. So when you're in indoor spaces, it's really hard to get the right exposure of light. But people wanted, if you were going to ride the train, you had to buy your tickets and stuff. So that window was pretty cool. And I feel like this is Megan's. No. But this shot from inside a barn. And the perspective is neat where it's giving you this leading line to the opening. So you have really cool framing, amazing contrast between the light and the dark tones, and just an interesting picture. The window being kind of the background in this picture and then just covered in vines. This is also at the Catskill Game Farm. Just kind of this neat, just contrast-wise, this becomes the focal point. But I love all this texture. This was like the goat area or something, and the goats were just coming up. So pretty cool stuff. Oh, here's the color version of it. See, it's great in color. So I'm assigning this to March 3rd. And having it due to process March 15th. We'll see what happens when we get there. That's 2 weekends to shoot this. So hopefully we can do it in that amount of time. Seems to be taking us longer, but let's shoot for that so we can get these completed. So if you have any questions whatsoever, you want to give me something to think about, please just reach out to me.